Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery. Or as Rian Johnson would rather be called, just Glass Onion. Not like with the just, but... Guys, if my intro blew out your eardrums, then maybe you could consider subscribing to the channel. Wait, that makes no sense. What am I saying? A new murder mystery to be solved by Benoit Blanc, with another stacked cast of suspects. When I was first watching this movie, I found the tone and vibe definitely a little bizarre and strange, especially the first 20 minutes of the film. But when I fully gave in to the almost parodical satire Johnson is going for, I ended up having so much fun with this movie. It's wildly entertaining, filled with twists and turns I didn't see coming, and has so much attention to detail throughout. Almost every seemingly minor detail or throwaway line of dialogue ends up coming back full circle and paying dividends to the story in some way or another. There's amazing detail in this airtight script from Johnson that I had so much fun with. I even liked how Rian was sure to have the characters use Google phones this time around after the spoiler from the iPhone rule of the first movie. Ed Norton is brilliant at playing this larger-than-life and quirky billionaire that hosts this cast of crazy characters. Janelle Monáe is astonishing in this movie with what she had to do here, kind of playing two characters. I really enjoyed the comedy, the aesthetic, and quirky characters in this crazy metaphorical glass onion of a setting. Glass Onion is the perfect title for this film, as it presents the primary themes of the movie spot on. An onion, known to have many layers. However, if the onion is glass and you can see through all the layers, it essentially defeats the purpose of peeling them back. You can see right through to its core, so why get caught up in the layers? This theme is consistent with many aspects throughout the movie. Firstly, the plot. What seems too obvious, Miles being the villain, ends up being complicated as a viewer because we get caught up in the layers of the character and story elements that distract us from the truth, or in this case, the center of the onion. Johnson is literally showing the audience exactly what happens, but instead of accepting it, we get caught up in the layers and think that can't be. Furthermore, this theme is present within our characters. Staying with Miles, at his core, he isn't a genius. He isn't a genuine innovator, nor a good person. But the layers he covers himself with, I'm of course referring to the eccentric personality, the larger-than-life home, and the facade of being superior to those around him, are what cover up his true, unimpressive self. If we chose to look through the metaphorical glass onion that Rian is presenting, we can easily see that he isn't very bright, nothing he says sounds very intelligent, he makes easily avoidable mistakes, and nothing about him is genuinely impressive at all. However, the layers of the onion tell us he's an eccentric genius, so we can easily be manipulated to believe it. This same idea goes for the commentary on the rich and famous that the movie cleverly sprinkles in. These elite people portray such extravagant personas and sense of genius as their layers. But if we're logical enough to look at what these people actually say or actually do, and ignore these artificial layers, we can see right through to their core, which often reveals an empty, unimpressive, and sometimes depressing one. The movie tells you the villain very early on in the flick, if you choose not to get caught up in the layers of the onion. It's easy to think, no, that's too obvious, it can't be. But sometimes things really are what they appear, if we choose not to get caught up in these metaphorical layers. I love this concept that Rian uses so brilliant here, and think it's an important message in a time where society views the rich and famous as superhumans on their own pedestal. I mean, the Kanye mural in the movie is extremely fitting. It's also quite hilarious when you step back and realize that this commentary on the wealthy is being spewed by wealthy celebrities themselves. The primary theme is most visible to the eye when the character we relate to the most, Janelle Monáe, doesn't get caught up with the puzzles on the box everyone was trying to open. She skips right past the layers to find what's at the core. This establishes the theme early. This concept is something it seems only her and Benoit Blanc are able to do, especially when it comes to making character judgment within the film. So safe to say, I was loving the movie up to this point. A great overarching theme regarding looking into the core value of individuals. A commentary on people who condone and enable others, as well as the danger of putting people on a pedestal, all combined into a whimsical murder mystery of fun. Vibrant colors, funny characters, and a twist with Janelle Monáe that added some great extra depth into the story. But then the scene happens. The scene that is tough for me to forgive. It doesn't necessarily destroy the movie, but it hurts for sure. It's the scene where Ed Norton burns the napkin. The only true evidence that Janelle Monáe had that proved Ed Norton's character stole her idea to gain his fortune. At the start of this scene, Ed Norton is 37 miles away from Monáe. But as Johnson cuts to the extreme close-up of the logo on the napkin, they use this time for the audience to assume that Ed Norton magically teleported to become a foot away from her. Then, to make matters worse, Monáe, who has been a smart character throughout the film, decides it's a good idea to continue shaking this napkin in Evil Ed's face. Like, I'm talking full elbow extension, napkin into his face, like she was wiping his mustache. Beyond the bizarre convenience that Ed happened to have a lighter with him in this very moment, which I mean, I guess you never know when you might have to burn a napkin containing a company blueprint from years prior to ensure your future, so I can let that slide. But either way, she's dangling the one piece of evidence that can prove she had everything stripped from her, in front of a guy who she knows is crazy. Like, this tissue is her entire life. Even if he didn't have the lighter, he could have easily just ripped it out of her hands. Like, how did she let this happen? How could you be so foolish here? Plus, the execution is just as terrible. The flame just starts to burn through the napkin. We don't see Norton reach for the lighter and set it to the napkin because this could never happen. As Norton extends his arm towards the napkin, you would really think that Monáe would quickly pull the precious napkin away. Like, was she sleeping? We don't know because of the way it was shot. First, Ed goes from 30 feet away to 1 in the blink of an eye. Then Monáe dangles her hanky on his nose. Then, she somehow doesn't react to Ed reaching in his pocket for a lighter and reaching towards the napkin. I mean, even if he was being subtle about it, you should probably be on edge and not dangle it in his face. I have a pretty good imagination. I can imagine that no one noticed Monáe was her twin sister. I can imagine that no one saw Evil Ed give Drax his cup. I can imagine that Rian Johnson didn't butcher Star Wars. I can imagine a lot of things. But this is a tough one to let slide. And the worst part, the film gets no better from here. The giant climax of the mansion on fire looked terrible and felt so out of place in the dialogue-focused murder mystery. An incredibly promising film tails off extremely poorly towards the end, which is unfortunate. All that said, I do wish I could have seen this in a theater as I did with the original. It was so fun unraveling the mystery as an audience and gasping at all the twists and turns back when the original came out. I know it got a super limited theatrical release, but I could tell Netflix produced this thing, because they definitely left some money on the table. Some of the exterior shots as well as CGI towards the end didn't look great to say the least. Maybe Netflix just spent too much on getting the actual rights to the franchise and not enough on producing it. Nonetheless, I can't wait to see the next one in this franchise still. Despite this horrendous scene, I ultimately ended up really enjoying the film, and the first 2 acts are incredibly strong and more than make up for it in my opinion. Every time I thought I'd solved the mystery of the glass onion, it would take another twist and surprise me. I mean, hard not to be surprised by Ed Norton all of a sudden being able to teleport. But anyways, still a super fun film that I enjoyed, and I'm sure the third film will be no different. I hope. But what really matters is, what did you guys think of Glass Onion? Did this scene bother you? Am I nitpicking a little? Did you like the first or second film more? Whatever your thoughts, comment below, let me know. Also, if you guys are here after watching my Knives Out Ruined Cinema video, I appreciate each and every one of you so much. Thanks for sticking around to my little channel, and I'm going to do everything I can to deliver some fun and entertaining content. If you haven't seen my Knives Out Ruined Cinema video, go check it out, and then yell at me in the comments that Apocalypse Now came out in the 70s. Guys, my next video is going to be my top 10 of 2022, so I hope you watch it. Whatever you end up doing, make sure to drink water today. Peace.